Hello and welcome to another video. This video is more directed to my colleagues, other instructors that are teaching, and they're facing some new challenges. We just came out of COVID, we had a lot of different issues, and now we're facing AI. So you probably have heard about this AI problem, and if you're an instructor, you possibly have had some discussions with your colleagues about how to deal with these issues that are arising. With these new tools, the students are able to basically solve most, if not all, of the assignments that you had in your curriculum, and this raises a lot of concerns that on validity of these methods, these testing techniques. And in this video, I'm not going to look into how you can detect if a student is cheating or how to deal with the plagiarism. I see that problem really as a symptom of a bigger problem. So what I'm trying to do in my classroom is really solve the deeper problem, which is why the students are not really interested, or some of them. And really this goes back to the colonial roots of our education system. And the education system has been created to manipulate and assimilate and control people. There's this feeling from some of the students that they're trying to get through the system as opposed to looking at it as a support. And you know, they're here to learn more, to challenge themselves, but for some, it's just really a barrier that they need to get through, because that's what it was traditionally. And so we need to really dismantle that colonial roots and structure. And I see the AI actually as a blessing in some ways. I think I look at it as an opportunity to help us decolonize education as much as possible. So my approach has been, I look at this as an opportunity that we can transform education and make our classes more interesting and engaging, and really focus on how to get the students to really want to challenge themselves. You know, if a person goes to the gym, they're not going to pay membership to watch a robot lift weight for them, you know, day after day. If they're going there, they're looking at improving their own physical health. They might even pay somebody to coach them through it. And similarly, in education, the students should be interested. They should be wanting to improve their skills, learn, and do that in an engaging and fun way. Of course, learning can be difficult. That's true, but it doesn't mean that we have to have all of these traditional systems in place to allow the students to move forward and develop their skills. So some of the things that I've been doing in my classes, I'm going to share 7 different things in this video. This is not a comprehensive list, just a sample of the things that I realize have been helping me create more engaging classes and giving me that trust that the students are really wanting to learn more. And when I'm faced with the problem of the AI, I can even introduce this AI tools in class, and I have been doing that. And we even do some assignments with AI tools and discuss the limitations and concerns, ethical concerns with the AI tools. But at the same time, I trust that the students are not going to use the AI tools to basically complete all of their work, because of the way we create a safe environment for learning and trust each other, and the students are really wanting to learn and motivated. So in fact, they're really pushing me to learn more and challenge myself, because they're constantly digging, finding new information that even was not previously in the curriculum, which I really love. So without further ado, let's just jump into the list of the things that I have prepared for today, and we can have a little discussion at the end. So number 1, this tip I think is essential, is really important, and I think it's something that many instructors overlook, and is really finding out why the students are in your class and doing that as early as possible. I usually spend the first day exploring, holding circles, talking to the students, and finding out really what are the motivation, why are they there. And you know, at different institutions, I've had different results. Some larger institutions really struggle with that, because they get a huge number of students that are really not motivated to actually do the learning, and that's a big problem. And I think with these new challenges that we're facing, larger institutions are going to have a much harder problem. In a smaller institution like colleges, this is a little bit less visible, like lack of motivation, because usually what I found in my experience is that students are really they have a motivation, they have a reason to be there. So it's a lot easier to get going with that task. But still, I encourage you to spend some time at the beginning. Don't just jump right into the material without making that connection with the students and finding out where they are. At least take notes of, what percentage of the class, or which students do you think are really motivated, and which students you think you need a bit more check-in and support, to find really why are they doing this. Number two, use some of the AI tools in your class. So I know this can be intimidating, but take a look at your assignments and tasks that learning objective of the course, and see where is a good candidate where you can bring an AI tool and ask the students to actually explicitly use that tool to complete the assignment, and then hold some discussions to reflect on how they felt. How did the students feel like they learned something? Did it feel, did it raise some concerns in them? And definitely have some conversation about the limitations of the AI tools and the ethical issues. As the instructors now, we have a huge burden, huge task, because these AI tools are being developed by greedy tech billionaires. They're really not concerned about the ethical issues. You may have heard the recent news that Microsoft just laid off basically their entire ethics and or workforce, because they really want to put their money to compete. And with the AI becoming a very competitive sort of discovery path, we are facing a lot of dangerous companies that are pushing AI without actually considering the ethical issues and the safety. So we are now left as society and the educational community to basically unpack, figure out what the issues are and the safety relies. And you don't have to be in a technical field. In fact, if you're in humanities or arts, I think it's even more important to use these tools and reflect, because that's where you really can find where the ethical concerns are and dig deeper into those issues. And using the AI tools will allow you to have, develop the language and the confidence to talk about those problems. There's lots of problems. It won't take you much research to find some of the issues, and I can make some more videos about the ethical concerns. There are many of them, and the companies are not dealing with them. There's the racism and bias issues in AI, and there is the many fundamental concerns, like the alignment problem with AI tools, the fact that they're not always producing the correct result can be very dangerous, and many other problems. So these are opportunities, in my opinion. You can work with the students to unravel, discover some of these problems, and also see some of the potentials, work with them. Some of the examples that I've used AI in my classes, I gave an assignment for students to create a persona. Persona is a tool we use in design thinking to try to have some empathy toward the user. So we create a description of a person, and I asked them to create a description of a person 20 years from now, doing a specific task. And asked them to create generative AI to create an image for this person, as well as using the AI to create description. And they had a really fun time doing this. I was really surprised at how they used it. Even they combined some of the different AI tools to create a description for another AI tool using another one. So they're already really keen on exploring the edges and what they can be doing with these tools. And the tools are really improving fast and evolving fast, so we need to really keep up with that. But we had a rich conversation afterward about some of the issues that arise. What does it mean for us to create? What do we lose when we create a persona using an AI tool? Number 3, ask a student to set goals and hold them accountable. I found this tool to be very powerful. I initially learned this technique from a Scrum methodology in Agile framework, which is a software framework, but it's really used even in other industries. But the technique really is based on really simple framework where you gather on a frequent interval, and everybody in the team will share what they've done, what they're going to do next, and if there are any problems or blockers. And I do a variation of this in all my classes, and depending on the length of the class, how much time I have with the students, the type of material, how big are the projects. I have different times. In some classes that I have lots of time with the students, we do this every morning at the beginning. In some other classes, I do this once a week. So everybody will set their own goals, and then I write it down. The next week, when we talk about it, we check in, see how things went, and I can occasionally ask them about something that they may have forgotten. It's just to hold them accountable and give them a little bit of a customization in their learning path. But also it's really motivating for the students to see what everybody else is setting goals at and what are they doing. It takes a little bit of work to kind of start the wheel turning, but once you get it going, it provides tremendous opportunities for learning, and it really, I find that it's helping motivate the students. So I highly recommend to you consider it, see if you can fit something like that in your curriculum. It doesn't have to take too much time. It could be a quick check-in at the beginning of a class, maybe on Monday or first class we have with the students in the week. Number 4, get rid of rote learning as much as possible. You may have a lot of it in your curriculum, or you may have very little. It's basically, the kind of assessment that requires the students to memorize something and just regurgitate it. If you see a students like really cramming for an exam, that's an opportunity to improve things. Rote learning is, there's a lot of studies to show that it's not really effective. It's not a really good way of learning, and it has a deep connection with the colonial roots of education system, because it was created to keep control over people, to stop them from developing more critical thinking and more autonomy, and instead really rely on information on the groups that were in power. So it's not really an empowering tool. There's a lot of problems with it, and there is still a lot of it. So I see this as an opportunity, because if you got assessments that are really purely based on rote learning, AI tools can do that really, really easily. And students are going to realize, why am I being assessed on something that the AI system can answer in half a second? And we've had these kind of problems with other technological advancements, and it's taken us a while to figure out how some of these new technological tools fit in our education system. But similarly with the AI, we have this problem now. The difference is AI tools are improving really, really fast, and we need to kind of react now and start changing things. So some of the other tips that I'm going to share in this video also going to help you with rote learning, but just identifying in your curriculum how many things, how many assessments, you can just make a note. And of course, you have limitations. I know you can't just overnight replace all of your assessment with some new experimental methods, but you can start exploring alternative. Talk to your faculty and set goals. Decide to pick a few of the options and try to experiment with other techniques, other ways of assessment, and see how it goes. And then every semester you can take out a little bit more of that rote learning and try to minimize as much as possible. I find in classes that I don't have much of that happening, the students are way more motivated. They actually learn a lot more, and we make a lot more connection. And it's really inspiring actually for me to see them develop their skills quite a bit when the learning feels so more authentic and real. Number 5 is encouraging collaborative learning. I use this tool a lot in my classes. I rely heavily on forming groups and getting students to work with each other. This encourages them to really develop their interpersonal skills, but they really, if the groups are taken off successfully, it really encourages active learning and participation. Set some expectations at the beginning. You can share with the students if there is going to be self-assessment or peer assessment of their performance in the group at the end. And you can have different ways of checking in, but definitely for those group projects that are longer, set milestones. Don't just give them a group project and expect them to keep working on it. The students need help taking smaller steps. I find that it's a big part of the learning is how to pace yourself. And so I often have smaller milestones along the way as we build up whatever project we are working on. And by the time we get to sort of the final milestone, the project should almost be completed, so that we can avoid the problem of leaving things until the last minute. So if you can create that kind of engagement, that would be really helpful. And I find groups of 3 or 4 students, the performance is, for me, been the best. But in your field, maybe things are different. Experiment with different size groups, and also it depends on the size of your class. Maybe 3 or 4% will not be feasible if you got larger classes. But definitely encourage you to try groups if you haven't. It can be a little bit intimidating and uncomfortable at first, but it is really, really a powerful tool, and I highly encourage you to take a look at that as one of the ways to reduce also your rote learning. Number 6, inquiry-based learning. This is, again, another alternative to rote learning, and it's a really powerful tool. I find this, for some instructors, is really uncomfortable because some people really like to have the structure of the course already in place, to have all the questions kind of ahead of time formulated, and they prepare for that at the beginning of the semester or before the course even starts. So the idea of exploring new ideas throughout the semester can be very disturbing to some instructors, but I find it actually a really powerful tool, and I use it pretty much all the time now in my classes. For example, research assignments, where there is certain guidelines that can create a little bit of a structure to have a bit more cohesion between what different students are working on, but still allow them to explore their own idea, their own interest. So I'll give you an example. One of the recent projects I gave to the students is to explore a strength of 3D printed parts. So I teach a course in digital fabrication, so we do work with a lot of 3D printed materials. But previously we've had this question, kind of a fixed formulated question that they would have to test. I gave them a bit more room to explore, to find out what characteristics are they specifically interested in, and then do their research, try to see what's lacking in the research and where they can actually try to discover something. So this really helped us motivate the students, and they've been doing a lot of work and research on it, and I'm really impressed with the work that they have been doing. And I think adding that a little bit of room to explore, it really pays off. And it helps me also to keep my knowledge up to date, because then I have to research more and find out some of the topics that the students are interested in that I might not even be familiar with yet. And finally, number 7, use experiential learning. So experiential learning can have many different forms. Could be a field trip, could be workshop, hands-on workshop, or it could be project-based learning. And in my courses, I've successfully used incorporated many different projects in the course. As I mentioned, in the team collaborative working, I heavily rely on projects. And one of the tips that I share with you is setting milestones during the project. That's a very important tip. Have lots of milestones and check in with the students how the progress is going. Have different forums where they can articulate and demonstrate, maybe have presentations along the way to show what they're learning, to share that. But another really powerful tool that I found is partnering with students, and this can be done in higher level classes mostly, but any place where you can do it, partnering with students with real world people. So if your course, your topic involves any form of design or creating something that may be used by people, finding real world people that they have a problem can be a very powerful tool. And I've done that in some of my courses in the past, where I've formed group and then partnered with students with real people in the world and asked them to design for them. So work together with these people. And if you have that opportunity, that's not always possible. But think about it, if you have that opportunity in your classes, that can also be a really great way to bring experiential learning. And your educational institute may have other forms like cooperative education, where it encourages more, again, experiential learning, and that can be really powerful tool to help the students really get a bit more confidence about the path that they've taken and give them a bit more of motivation to keep going. So yeah, incorporate experiential learning in any opportunity you have. It pays off. It's a really powerful tool. I highly encourage you to use that as well. So today I shared 7 different techniques that I use in my classes to help me create more engaging learning environment and prepare me for the future. I believe there's a lot of challenges that are going to face with the rise of AI tools and the way that it challenges our curriculums and ways of assessment really is going to force us to change some things. But I also feel optimistic and see this as an opportunity. I think that the real problem is, as I mentioned earlier, to create more engaging and fun learning environments so the students really want to push themselves and want to learn more. And I believe that ultimately this is going to be a positive change for both instructors and the students, but along the way we have some work to do. So I hope some of these tips that I shared was helpful to you. If you want me to dig deeper in any of them, please let me know in the comment. Also, I would love to hear what techniques you use that you think would be helpful, and I would love to hear that. I'll be happy to try those in my classes as well. So please share if you've got some techniques that you use that helps you get rid of rote learning or create more engaging classroom, motivate the students more. Please share them in the comment. I look forward to hearing from you. Take care, and hopefully I'll see you in another video.